And let's get it going. It's dominating our first story, and the flag bearer of the opposition National Democratic Congress, John Dramani Mahama, has settled on former Minister of Education, Professor Jane Nana Opoku-Agyeman, as his running mate for the 2020 general elections. Her selection was announced after the NDC's National Executive Committee meeting at the party's headquarters in Accra. Kwesi Parker Wilson brings us more.
John Dramani Mahama making an entry into the Adabraka headquarters of the NDC, the party he led to an unprecedented defeat in 2016, and with which he now intends to make a comeback as standard bearer.
Also getting down from the vehicle, so he will soon get out of his vehicle, enter the meeting. So currently the meeting is...
It is a big day, a day many political watchers, not least the NDC's strong base, have been waiting for. And it is the day the party, after months of dragging and suspense, lifts the veil off the person who partners Mr. Mahama into that crucial election in December.
Who are calling on him, and of course quite a number of individuals here and shouting his name. John Dramani Mahama just arrived at the party headquarters, and he's going into the meeting.
The consultation has taken place. Earlier he had consulted members of the Council of Elders of the party who had given their support for his choice of running mates. At the next meeting we just had, there's been a unanimous approval of the National Executive Committee of the choice of running mate by the flag bearer. And so I can tell you that the running mate of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama for the 2020 general election is Professor Nana Jane Agyeman. Unanimously by the party.
Professor Opoku-Agyeman, a 68-year-old former education minister and vice-chancellor of the University of Cape Coast, has emerged from a keenly contested race that had old guns like Dr. Kwabena Dufo, one-time finance minister and governor of the Bank of Ghana, and economist Dr. Nimoy Thompson. She comes to this role with over 3 decades of public service experience to her credit.
I think that is the greatest and the best thing that's happened to Mother Ghana. If you remember, before we started the preparation of our manifesto, we told the entire country that we're going to consult Ghanaians broadly. We're going to go to them and find out what they are looking for. And so per that consultation, it came to the fore that the people of this country that we have gotten to as a nation, we need a female at the highest office of the land. And so that has informed the decision. That's informed the decision where President Mahama has accepted the call that the people of this country has made on her.
The NDC goes into December's election with close to 1 million vote deficit. But as they say, every election is a new one. And with the NPP having struggled to keep some of its core floating voters happy in its 3.5-year mandate, the 2020 poll promises to be an interesting one.
And in reaction, the governing New Patriotic Party says though the choice of a woman should ideally be hailed, Professor Opoku-Agyeman has failed to prove she has a track record of fighting for women and their welfare, adding her abysmal performance in the education sector makes her a no match for the current vice president and running mate of the current president, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia.
In an ideal world, one of the strongest things going for the selection of the good professor would have been that she is a woman. And this would be met with a lot of enthusiasm. Unfortunately, Professor Opoku-Agyeman hardly meets the expectations of someone who has a track record of fighting for women or their welfare. Luckily for all of us, Jane Nana Opoku-Agyeman is not new to Ghana politics, and it's her performance during her period as a political appointee that we are going to continue referring to from now on in. We need not remind anybody that it was during her tenure that training teachers' allowances were scrapped. It was done without paying any heed to the many appeals to reconsider the decision. Indeed, it was one of the things she was proud to have done, scraping teacher allowances. Solidly on her front desk, the cold-hearted manner in which teachers were treated cannot easily be forgotten, either by the teachers themselves or the nation. Let it not again be forgotten that Professor Nana Opoku-Agyeman had been a teacher herself before she came to the position of Minister of Education. And yet, it was during her period that classroom teachers were denied common chalk to be able to write on blackboards. And we all remember the infamous saying, "We didn't give you chalk today or tomorrow," voiced by then Second Lady Matilda Misata, and Nana Opoku-Agyeman was in the saddle. Perhaps the worst thing that can be associated with her name was the Muntie 3 saga. When the Muntie trio threatened death upon some Supreme Court justices, including the then Chief Justice, Theodora Georgina Wood, the then Education Minister, now newly appointed running mate, and I told her she's going to receive the fire. Now, newly appointed running mate to candidate Mahama was one of those who joined the campaign for the release of the Muntie 3. Indeed, her ardent anti-feminist position was too obvious to ignore when she appended her signature to the petition to have the trio who had then been incarcerated at Nsawam be freed against sound advice from well-meaning Ghanaians. How can a woman who hates her fellow women to this extent that she actually advocated the release of the jail trio so that they could continue to rape and kill her fellow women? How can she be given such a responsibility now to take care of everybody in the country, including her fellow women? We wonder what message candidate Mahama is sending Ghanaians by picking Professor Nana Opoku-Agyeman as vice presidential candidate, when her stewardship in the past brought such heartache to teachers and trauma to her colleague women.
Politics, let's talk health. And 91 personnel of Ghana's premier health facility, the Korle-Bu Teaching Hospital, have so far tested positive for coronavirus. The facility has been forced to suspend non-emergency surgery and urgent cases at least for the next 2 weeks. The measure is intended to protect the remaining hospital staff and clients who are expected to be on admission at the hospital. Latif Idris visited the facility and comes through with this report.
This is Ghana's premier hospital, and coronavirus is wreaking havoc here. As at the end of June this year, about 71 health professionals had tested positive for coronavirus. Today, the figure has changed. 91 health professionals here had tested positive for coronavirus. The development has forced the facility to suspend emergency and urgent cases.
The hospital management decided to suspend non-emergency and urgent cases for the next 2 weeks. There are reasons for this. One is to protect our clients and patients, and then two, to also protect the rest of staff who are still at post and then providing care to patients.
How many of your staff have been infected with COVID-19?
As of last week, we have about 91 staff members who are infected with the disease, and then we are still working, but within the circumstances, we thought it wise to scale back so that we will not expose our patients, and the other reason for which we work here.
Did you say 91?
Yeah, 91, yes.
And this latest one, which has informed the decision to suspend non-emergency services, how many are we looking at?
It's not the latest. We are looking at the cumulative figures that we have received, and that is why we are taking this decision. We have staff who are critical to the care that we provide, particularly the surgical interventions that we do in the hospital. And if a good number of them are exposed, it is only fair and proper for us to scale back and use those who are not affected to still provide the care to the dire emergencies. So we are calling on sister hospitals not to refer the non-emergency and urgent cases. They should try and then refer to other appropriately equipped facilities within the metropolis to handle that whilst we observe this period of suspension for the next 2 weeks.
So over the period, that is by end of June, you had 91 of your workers infected with the virus, correct?
Yes, as at last week.
How many have been asked to go into quarantine? I'm sure you did contact tracing. So out of this 91, we know the 91 for sure they are on isolation. How many have been asked to go on quarantine?
When you are affected, out of this 91, remember some of them have been treated and discharged and they are back to work. And then if you want the exact numbers, I'll have to check on that and then get back to you.
So how many of the units have been affected in this whole development of COVID outbreak here?
No, for what we are saying now, the surgical interventions, all of them will be affected in that. So you have the ENT, you have the general surgery, the main surgical block will be affected, ENT, pediatric surgery, accident and emergency, obstetrics will also be affected. So for all of these areas, we are going to see to the dire emergencies for the next 2 weeks. So we are asking for this so that we can reorganize ourselves and then resume normal operations without putting our patients in harm's way.
What happens to patients who have already booked appointment with you, who fall within the category of non-emergency case, if you like?
If you are still within the hospital, it means we can't discharge you just because of this. It means within the dire emergencies that we are going to be seeing, we will still take care of those patients who are already on admission.
By end of June, you had 91 of your staff infected with the virus. What is it? What are you not doing right?
You know, we are a hospital, and a hospital is where when people fall sick with any conditions at all, they come to you for care.
We are also told that the hospitals are the safest place for...
Of course, but in the line of duty, you can get exposed. People also have social lives besides their work in the hospital, so people can get exposed when they are not even in the hospital.
Region, Kumasi Metropolitan COVID-19 team is drawing attention to inadequate shelter at registration centers, which officials say is contributing to the breach of coronavirus protocols. Technical advisor to the team, Dr. N.S. Kwakun, observes applicants are compelled to congregate under trees and near buildings for shade without regard to the protocols. It tells Joy News provision of more canopies will be crucial in addressing the current challenge as the exercise enters the second phase.
The applicants, our prospective applicants, are about to get to the inner perimeter and they are in a queue. That's when the difficulty comes. The physical distancing is difficult, especially when there's no provision for a shady area for them to wait in a queue or in a line. Then they tend to huddle themselves at any nearby location which are shade and therefore unable to physically distance. But what happens is that when we see that, we go around and see that, we talk to them, and then most of them then now try to distance themselves. Then the face mask, when they are in a queue or in a line before they come to the delineated area for registration, you will find that about 60% may have the mask but it's down their chin. But when you talk to them, then they put it back on. And let me use this opportunity to go through your media outlet and say that you need a face mask most when you are talking, singing, coughing or sneezing. So it should be on. Don't think that When you want to talk to somebody, the person may not hear you clearly, so you are doing the face mask. Because it is at that time that the risk of droplets coming out of your mouth may be high. So use a mask when you are talking. Then when they get into the inner perimeter, most of the time, the electoral officers will not even allow you not to wear your mask. So
and to end the news, we'll take you to the Upper East region. A research conducted by the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana is revealing that about 90% of dams constructed under the government's One Village, One Dam initiative in the region could not be used for irrigation purposes. The research further reveals that there was poor consultation with other government agencies such as district assemblies in the planning phase of the initiative, and as a result, the district assemblies could not effectively supervise the project. Correspondent Albert Sori sat through a dissemination session for the research and our reports.
The Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana, with funding from Oxfam, commissioned the research to examine the implementation of the One Village, One Dam initiative in the Upper East region. The study aimed to, among other things, establish the number of dams constructed within the region, examine the appropriateness of the dams in serving domestic and agricultural purposes, and determine the usefulness of the dams in addressing the water requirement of the beneficiary communities during the dry seasons. The research, which was led by Professor Joseph Yarrow of the Department of Geography at the University of Ghana, established that so far, 83 out of the 140 dams promised by the government have been completed. This represents 59%. Professor Joseph Yarrow gave some details of the findings of the research.
People were not really involved in one, site selection, into the kind of dam, 3, the kind of uses that it was going to eventually be for, and 4, the kind of safety concerns and environmental impacts it will have on them. These were things that were not considered. Normally, when we have projects like this, we do environmental and social assessments, and these were taken for granted and left out. And that subsequently has come to haunt us, as people have realized as dams have been abandoned, and the little land that families had, which were given out, have become degraded lands that they cannot use. Now remember, Upper East is not like Northern region, where you can take a piece of land and it doesn't affect the families. Every single piece of land matters here. So once you've taken someone's 4 hectares of land, a family's 4 hectares of land, they and their descendants become traumatized eventually. It will take a lot of effort to reclaim those dams, that is, if you want to get them back to farmland status.
He said about 90% of the dams constructed under the One Village, One Dam initiative in the Upper East region cannot be used for irrigation purposes.
Some communities had a better geology for a much bigger dam, but because they are limited to only 250,000, such a dam could not be put up. So then we think that it will be much more useful in the future if we aggregated the sums and did dams in places where dams are possible, and left out communities that did not have the best geology for dams. For many places, we could do bigger dams 4 times the size of these. Most of these dams basically can be classified as domestic use or livestock dams, really, in terms of use, in terms of usage, but not for farming. So irrigation really is out of the question for probably 90% of the dams. It's not possible for any irrigation.
The Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana's research also touched on the key issue of the amount of money allocated for the construction of each dam and whether the amount was enough to construct good quality dams. Andrew Alalbila is an engineer with the Ghana Irrigation Development Authority who were interviewed as key informants in the research.
Considering the amount that was involved in the construction of the One Village, One Dam, we were told it was between 230,000 to 250,000 Ghana cedis per dam site. Yes, for one to construct a very meaningful and a very dam that will serve the purposes of irrigation, that money will not be enough. Some of them have met our standards. some have actually been overstretched. A dam like Zasibulga, that is in the Timpani district. We went there during the dry season, and the irrigable area was all occupied with onion, fresh onion.
The Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana has also made some recommendations to the government based on the findings of their research. Abdul Rahman Mohammed is national president of the association.
When they were implementing it, we were made to understand that it was coming to serve the purpose of the drought. We will be able to farm throughout. But now, this is not what we are seeing. Even in the rainy season, there is no water. So when do we expect to get water now? So we are calling on government to revisit that project and make sure that they are well renovated and they are well structured, and then so that the farmers will use them, or else they can't use them.
It remains to be seen whether government will improve on the size and quality of dams constructed under the One Village, One Dam initiative. For Joy News, Albert Sori reporting from Bolgatanga.
And we're back here in Accra. Well, we have more news. Myself, Gifty Ando-Apia, and Joseph Akable will be looking at the newspapers next. Do stay with us. And we have to do the newspapers. I have been joined on stream, or let's say Zoom, by Gifty Ando-Apia and Joseph Akable. But we also do know that, well, we have to send some bit of shout-outs to some of the people that we know across the entire country who are dedicated watchers. I have to say good morning to Teresa Simpson. You live in Cape Coast and you do some great work trying to watch us as always. Thank you for your dedicated viewing. And also Salifu Combat, you are the head of primary health care, Boku Presbyterian Hospital. Joseph, what's up? Gifty, what's up?
Oh, say Roland.
Oh, against the Bagbo. Against the Bagbo. Charlie, how are you? I hope you all slept well.
Yeah,
yesterday was a good thing for the women's movement. We had Professor Jane Nano Pukwajamine being nominated as the running mate. So that was a good thing. I've seen that.
Akable, I didn't hear you. I thought you were saying something.
Oh, I was saying Roland no people pa.
Akable, they insult me. They lie.
It's always greeting people across the country.
All right, I know. We have to research that topic. Yeah, Roland. So it's a good thing, I think. I mean, no matter which way you look at it, it's a good thing. Sadly, we're going to hear the usual politics being done. We're going to hear the usual, insulting insinuations going on. But I'm sure we'll come to that when we get into the newspapers.
Well, definitely. Well, for all the things that we have to do, Joseph, you start for us, and you're doing which of the papers?
I'll do the Ghanaian Times and the Daily Statesman. So I'll start first with the front page of the Ghanaian Times. It says, Mahama picks running mates. It's Professor Nana Opoku-Agyeman. It comes along with her photograph and that of former President John Dramani Mahama. President not flown out of the country. Jubilee House dismisses rumor. And parents besiege Accra girls' SHS over COVID-19 scare. Also on the front page of the Ghanaian Times. The back page has this story about COPEC urging government to cushion transport operators. And government is committed to revamping railway system. It's from Joe Gatti. He's the minister responsible for that sector. We can do the Daily Statesman now. The front page has this story about Samuel Sapon's Fishy State housing sale reversed. It's on the front page. Insensitivity to women and teachers. NPP berates Mohammed's choice of anti-feminist Nana as running mate. And EC takes steps to prevent overcrowding at registration centers. Also on the front page. Then it has this advertisement that the EC is putting out about how to ensure that you register safely. The final one will be the back page. Some sports stories. Pep Guardiola at a loss to explain Man City defeat this season. and Barcelona striker will end his career at club. That's according to Bartomeu, relating to Lionel Messi, the best footballer on earth. Roland.
Wow. All right, so let me do the daily guide. So I have on the front page of the daily guide. Mahama picks Nana for NDC VIP. It has an attached picture. It looks to be the official picture to commemorate or to coincide with that announcement that was made yesterday afternoon. That'll be on Monday afternoon. Mona faces Supreme Court contempt. Gabi wades into Domolovo Kroll case. On the back page, it's full of Bassa news, and it says, Bassa boss slams VAR. I don't know why Joseph Maria Bartomeu is not in favor of the video assistant referee technology. I'm very surprised. Swansea win excites the day, and we have Ambassador Kwako eulogizing Alfred Korte, and that's on the back page of the Daily Guide. Let's go to the front page of the Daily Graphic, and has this brave one. Says, inclusive democracy wins. Professor Opoku-Agyeman says of nomination. And I love this headline. Very, very good headline. Really. Yeah, very elegant. I love her post too. Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman. Yeah, for the first time, if the NDC wins, we're going to have a woman vice president. It's very good for women empowerment in Ghana. EC sticks to voters register, and Korle-Bu suspends non-emergency surgeries. Latif Idris was there live, went to inspect some of the wards and also sections of the hospital that had been closed down because of infections of coronavirus. Meanwhile, on the back page of the Daily Graphic, we're being told that work has stalled on the National Cathedral. You know, and God is punishing us with coronavirus. I don't know how we can keep building Noah's Ark, but there's a way we can.
Seriously?
I'm a Christian, so I'm entitled to my Christian beliefs.
Did God tell you he's punishing us?
I think so. Too much sin in the world.
I see. But you know, God's ways are not our ways, so it's not what we think.
It's not a sermon. Just we're doing review of the news, but don't start your thing, please. I didn't change. Too early in the morning. But some district assembly distributes oil palm seedlings to farmers, and then we'll do the dispatch. I'll do the dispatch, and then Gifty comes on with the rest of the papers. At long last, Nana is JM's running mate. And queue management system at registration centers. And we saw this release from the Electoral Commission on Monday, how they're going to manage queues. So it looks like from what we're monitoring has been going on so far, we need it across the country for it to be smooth. And kudos to the Electoral Commission. They've managed this so far so well. Ghanaians abroad will have opportunity to register and vote if travel bans are lifted on time. Okay. All right. Gifty, your turn.
Okay, so sorry, I muted. Okay, so I have the Finder newspaper. Banner headline for the Finder newspaper says over 2.2 million voters registered, and that story is on page 2. And they are registered in the first 6 days of phase 1. 68.9% used Ghana card. And then Mahama picks Professor Nana Opoku-Agyeman. Story is on page 8. It comes with that same beautiful, amazing picture of Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman smiling. Looks like she's ready for the job. And then the other story there is significant improvement in social distancing. That story is on page, let's say, page 4 and 5, pages 4 and 5. So they're reporting, or the Finder is reporting, that there's been a significant improvement in social distancing at registration centers. Okay, let's get into the newspaper. That story is there. You can take a read. Let's say it's by John Elliott Hagan and John Appiah, as well as Christabel Annam. Let's give them that credit. And that story is there. And beneath that story is voter registration smooth at Pokwase and its environs. I don't know what Pokwase and its environs are a place of interest for the newspaper, but I'm sure if you read it, you get to understand. And that story, Bahama picks Professor Nana Opoku-Agyeman is there as well. COVID-19, AMA, LCB worldwide, disinfect MDA's public buildings in Accra, social distancing challenges, EC institutes queue management system. You mentioned that as well in your newspaper, Roland. And I believe this will be the back page. The back page, yes. The back page of the final newspaper says CBG supports Porter's Village Orphanage with food items, and GAIDEC donates PPE to people of Chibi to help fight COVID-19. And the last story there is mobile technology industry outdoors new infrastructure members. So that's it for the final newspaper. Roland, should I go on with the BNFT?
Yes, please go on, Gifty.
Okay. So for the BNFT, it has a picture of the former West Blue former chief executive of West Blue, who has, of course, had an international appointment. And the story is Ghana is behind you. It's coming from President, because the story says President assures Valentina Minta after her ICC appointment. So President Akufo-Addo is telling her that Ghana is behind her. But the banner headline there is borders must open with extreme caution. Professor Quote is saying that, and that story is on page 3. I believe it has to do with the phasing opening of our borders. And beneath that story is government to reposition manufacturing to lead post-COVID-19 economic revival. The devil is always in the detail. I'm interested to find out what the details are. And the back page of the BNFT, which I will end with, said GISPA re-elect Richard Densu as president and board chair, and MSG commends NHIA for unprecedented claims payments. Interesting story. I'd love to know what the details are. And of course, it comes with a picture of the head of the NHIA. We understand that she had contracted COVID as well. I'm interested to find out how she's doing. I don't know if you guys have anything, but those are the newspapers I have, Finder and BNFT. Okay,
I have the Enquirer and then the New Independent. So basically the same story. So we can go ahead. Any pick, Joseph Gifty? Let me start with Joseph. What's your pick for the morning?
I think mine will be the Accra girls story. It was on the front page of the Times. I've seen a joint statement that is coming from the Ghana Health Service and the Ghana Education Service. It confirms that there has been COVID-19 outbreak at the school, and gives the breakdown as follows. Says 6 students and a teacher and a teacher's spouse have all tested positive for the virus as at yesterday. And it goes on to assure that a team of experts from the Ghana Health Service have been dispatched to assist and deal with the situation, and calling on parents to remain calm. I think when the schools were about to be reopened, this was a concern that we all had about the possibility of infections. And in fact, some experts had actually advised that some testing be done even before they get onto the campus, but we know for a fact that that wasn't done. The students got onto the campus. You have teachers, and even the interesting thing is that there are students who don't live on campus. They come from their homes and they go back. And so it's important that, I mean, at this stage that we've gotten to where we've gotten to, we've been able to identify at least 6 people who have tested positive. The health officials need to move in quickly and contact trace them. These are individuals who will be in classroom, will be going for break. They'll be going to the canteen with their colleagues. They will be studying with their colleagues. They will be interacting with their teachers. And so it presents another whole dimension of contact tracing challenges to our fight to manage COVID-19. And the question that we'll ask again is, was this not a situation that we could have predicted before opening the schools? And so if we had decided to do that and had carried out some form of testing, which in itself I don't think would have even been the solution, it simply is a risk that we decided to take, and that's why we are here, where we are. And it's no surprise that a lot of parents I saw, as Maxwell reported yesterday, trooped into the school to try and take their children away. If I had a child in that school, I would have done just that. I mean, because it's very difficult knowing that your child will be studying in a space where people have tested positive, and she may have come into contact with some of them.
And because I also wanted to have my pick on coronavirus as well. We all do know that the cases have increased, but it was before the midnight of yesterday, I think around 9, 10, thereabout, when I first cited the latest postings on the Ghana Health Service COVID-19 site that got me a bit jolted out of sleep because the new cases that were recorded were pegged close to 1,000. I'm saying close to 1,000 because it's only 8 shy of reaching the 1,000 mark. Now, and we know that over the last 5 to 6 weeks, we've been recording averagely 400 cases daily. And for us, yesterday, as at the time that we're having this interaction 24 hours ago, we're just around the 600 and something mark, and now close to 1,000. It gives me some shivers down my spine. I don't know what the authorities seem to think, because the defense is always that, well, we don't have the fatalities or the mortality going alongside what the number of cases and the rises are. But it should be of grave concern to a number of us. Should be of grave concern because when you speak to the medical people, the concern they have is if the hospitals or the health facilities are overwhelmed, then it means that we're not going to be in a position to care for patients as we usually would. And that could have a certain link to fatalities. And I'm hoping that somebody will come better to state some good things about how the management will be going than what we've been hearing the last couple of weeks. It is not good at all. We should be worried. I don't know what Gifty thinks about the current state.
I don't know what I think either, but I can say what I feel. I mean, you know that more people died as well. I think about 7 more people from yesterday's figures, from what you are referencing. About 7 more people died as well. This is how I feel. It's as if people are going to die anyway. People are going to be infected anyway. So let's just do what we want to do. Let's just do what we feel like doing and allow people to die. We'll be fine. The world has not ended. This is how I feel when I look at the situation and how we're handling it as a country. Okay, I mean, I can't imagine. I don't have kids, but I can't imagine how parents will feel knowing that my children are boxed up in a particular space. Some of them are infected. I want to quickly jump there and grab my children out of that place. And I don't know about parents in Ghana, but I believe that parents can do anything. I've seen stories of parents who are ready to do anything, including die for their children. And that's the kind of chaos we're looking at if we don't take care of it. My pick, I have 3 picks, okay, but they are mostly intertwined apart from the NDC bits that I'll talk about. But if you look at the registration processes, and a lot of the newspapers are reporting on the registration processes, the Korle-Bu situation feeds into what you said, Roland, that the story that Latif followed up on. I say, you know what I mean? And it's scary. It is scary. It's not just Korle-Bu. We're reporting on Korle-Bu, but I know doctors in different health facilities who are saying that, look, the things we are seeing on the ground, they are not good. And I don't know how we're going to deal with the situation anymore. I am not an expert. I don't know, but it just doesn't feel like we're doing things the right way. I come to the Electoral Commission and the work that's been done there. You know, reporting, I've seen some reportage on how a good number of people have been registered in just 6 days and how they're doing, what they're doing to get the systems right and all. Look at the sheer commitment, Roland and Akable. Look at how committed the Electoral Commission is to do this. That is an attitude that we need to develop as a country for so many other things. So many other things, for our development, for doing things right. You see, lots of people have complained. People have seen the dark side of it, but the AC has said that, look, we are resolved to do this. It is going to work. That is an attitude we need for different things, I think, in my perspective. Let me come to the NDC. Should I go there, or do you want us to, have a different sort of chat on the back of the coronavirus cases, Roland?
No, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead.
All right, so that will be my next take. I think it's a great thing that has happened. People have said that it's the first time a political party has gone for a female running mate, but that's not true. Of course, we know that there have been several running mates who are female. But what makes a difference in this one is this is the NDC. This is the biggest, your largest opposition party in the country. And so it is very intriguing that this is happening. I heard comments that the NPP had made about this selection, and they said that it shows that John Mahama, who is the flag bearer, doesn't take Ghana seriously. I think that's a very unfortunate statement to make. Does it mean that because she's female, she doesn't fit? Does it mean that because the person chosen is female, that Ghanaians are not being taken seriously? There are a lot more of us, and when I say us, I mean female, a lot more of us here in this country, so that if all women decide to vote for her, I mean, we are in charge. We should be in charge. I think those comments should not allow. Let's stick to the facts of our campaign. Let's stick to the manifesto promises. How many of them have you delivered? Are Ghanaians better off than they were when you took over? Those are the things that we should be looking at. But I think it's a great thing for women, for a young girl in Dumfrugu, a young girl in Chirpone, those that I deal with. I know that this is a story that will motivate them, and they will know that a woman can do something as well. Right now, it's left for the politics to get on with it. I don't know how ready she is for the politics, the insults, the vilification, and all the things that comes with it. We know how to do it best. I wish her all the best, and I hope that we'll really stick to the politics.
Yeah, look, we have to be truthful, and it's good that you made reference to the number of women that we have, because if you reference the 2010 population and houses census, the percentage by which our population is growing, or supposed to have grown from that time, is averagely around 2.5%. And even at the time, and up to date, we have around 52% of women who make up our population. So we have a population, and if you look at the demographics also, that are pretty young, very youthful. So the comment from the Honorable Boabing Asamoah is very unfortunate. We have come to a point where we need to make sure that when we're promoting human resource, we do it in such a way that the intellect of either sex, whether a male or female, is taken into due consideration. Yeah. Indeed, the political parties, the two main political parties, have paid lip service to the promotion of women into governance. And it's good that we have the NDC that has decided to promote or decided to nominate a top female personality to be their running mate. The person, I'm interested to find out what went into the choice. You know, I don't know if there's something that they communicate. I'm interested to find out what went into it. And I'll be happy to know that they chose her because she represents the majority of the people of this country. You know, I'm sure they've done their own political calculations and their own political analysis, and it is different. But I want to find out what went into it, and that will give me a lot of satisfaction as a woman and as someone. I'm not a feminist, but I believe in women empowerment. I do. I can imagine. Those are, I don't know how to make to make of your statement. I think you're a feminist, but moving forward to that direction, it's also because I believe she was chosen because she almost will be a neutral when it comes to having enough missiles to be able to throw at any political opponent. She's a woman. I'm not sure she has a lot of baggage. So, and then also she can appeal to many people on different fronts. And that's what I think. I thought that, well, the nomination, the first time I heard it, was going to go haywire, will be received negatively. And so far, if you look at social media and what the content has been, it hasn't been that bad. Joseph.
Yeah, Joseph, you've been too quiet.
I'm right here. I think there are a lot of ways to look at it. But the biggest advantage that the NDC stands to benefit is what it means for women empowerment. Secondly, there's going to be less attack on her. And that's how come you have Gifty reacting the way she did. I'm sure if Mr. Mahama had named a man and Yababia Asamoah had said that choice means that Mahama is not taking Ghanaians serious, she would not have reacted the way she did. because of the issues we have with women empowerment in Ghana, any such attack can easily be interpreted as being attacking her for being a woman and not necessarily against her competency. And so that is an advantage that the NDC will be having. They will have someone who, if you come at, you are going to attack a whole lot of people who believe in women empowerment. And so those are the advantages. She also doesn't come across as someone with a lot of baggage. She doesn't have challenges in public service, going to make accusations of corruption against her. The accusations are going to fly, but I mean, when you don't have someone that you have substantive issues against already, it's difficult to manufacture such things. And so that is the advantage that she comes. I think she's a brilliant professor. The real challenge will be the politics of it. Is she someone who will be fascinating to listen to on a political podium like Dr. Bawumia is? Will be someone who can take on the shots and attack your opponents and criticize their policies boldly? All these are matters that I believe the NDC will intend to work around the clock and get a top team of handlers, brilliant economists and health experts and experts from all walks of life in order to, assist and build her capacity. I'm not saying she lacks it, but she obviously would need some assistance to build and get ready. We have less than 200 days to the election. And so the question is, how soon can they do that?
Yeah.
This is definitely a bold choice. And I think it's a good choice that the NDC has made. And if they manage it well, it's a choice that if it goes quite well, the dividends will be huge. And if it doesn't go quite well, the dividends will also be terrible.
I think she if you compare to the first time that Dr. Bawumia was named prior to the 2008 elections at that Alisa Hotel meeting, he really was a novice. Nobody knew him on the ground, but at least Professor Opoku-Agyeman is known on the political circles. And I will take the cue from you, Joseph.
It actually took Bawumia a bit of time to warm himself.
Exactly.
So but the difference here is that the professor doesn't have the luxury of time. It's a bit of a short period, so that is a bit of a difference. With ample work, she's already a known face. It should be possible to do something.
But the thing is that social media aside, she has a youthful population that she can appeal to, and fortunately for her, that youthful population is somewhat either semi-literate or literate to a very large extent. So even though that she needs to be good at the politics of it in terms of the jabbing, etc., if she's able to come out well in the way she portrays and the level of eloquence and the intellect that she's able to undertake within the public space and is persuasive enough, I believe that will be the best way by which she can get the share of the votes that she will need to complement what Dramani Mahama will be able to pull from the voter population. Yeah.
But the good thing for her, by the way, is that she's not completely new on the scene, like Akable said. Akable put it succinctly. She's been a minister before. She probably is not yet used to the politics, but she's been through the system, so I'm sure she understands what to expect. But when Dr. Bawumia was also announced, people said he's not a politician, but he's warmed up into it. And like Akable said, if they get her the handlers that she needs, and if she will listen to advice, I'm sure that she will go a long way. But what if Ghanaians, we talk about charisma. I believe in women empowerment. I've looked at this woman's profile and I think fantastic, absolutely fantastic woman. She's taught a lot of people. I love teaching. I'm a teacher at heart. So I have a thing for teachers. So she has taught a lot of people. So many people have gone through her. And so those people are Roland, the kind of people that you talk about who seems to be to have her back. Okay. And on social media, everybody is talking about her. But maybe Ghanaians is it not time? Perhaps it's time for Ghanaians to want something uncharismatic, but with substance. Aren't we tired of the politics? Maybe this is the time. So if she is not a politician, she won't be able to do the jabbing and all of that. She has a substance. And the middle class, your typical middle class floating voters are ready for it. Why not? But again, it's up to the NDC, because if this doesn't work as well, like Akable is saying, it will bounce back and a lot of people will say, Yanka. I'm curious to find out if Ghanaians are ready for a female at that level of leadership, and it will tell us a lot of things of what we do going forward with our politics. I'm looking forward to that day when a flag bearer is actually a woman and they'll choose a woman to be their running mate. It doesn't matter if you guys won't vote. If all the women vote, they'll win.
Oh, feminists, you already trained jabs. I think that Professor Opoku-Agyeman should take you as one of her strategists. Gifty, stop this behavior. We're taking a break. We have sports next, and thank you for joining us, Joseph Akable and Gifty Ando-Apia. Gifty, you're on leave, I've noticed.
Well, we'll talk about that later.
I think Roland Gifty's internet was relatively better today.
I'm amazed. In fact, I think it's because I moved from 1 city to 10 cities.
Well, I think that since the announcement of the running mate, many services to women's household has improved. We're taking a break. We have sports.
I think she should move to 50 cities then. We want uninterrupted.
After hours of speculation, the announcement was made, and definitely it was Professor Jane Nana Opoku-Agyeman announced as the running mate for the flag bearer of the NDC, John Dramani Mahama. And again, we have to state that she's not the first woman to be nominated as running mate. And for this recollection, how did these women who were nominated as running mates fare with their candidates in the elections that they contested in? And we do know now the die has been cast and we've settled on who is the running mate to John Dramani Mahama, former president, but now the presidential or hopeful for the National Democratic Congress. Well, we're joined on stream by Professor Kwesi Jonah, Senior Research Fellow, the Institute for Democratic Governance, IDEC, and then Dr. Nansata Yakubu, a political analyst, but we also do know there are others who really know the professor very well, Professor Jane Nana Opoku-Agyeman. Jonathan Asante-Ocho is a political analyst and a senior lecturer at the University of Cape Coast Department of Classics and Philosophy, as well as Dr. Theresa Adai Mununkum, a senior lecturer with the Department of English at the University of Cape Coast as well. Good morning to all of you. Can you all hear me?
Yes. Good morning, Roland.
Yeah, great.
Good morning.
Great. Now, let me start with you, Dr. Theresa Adai Mununkum. You worked with her closely. You worked with Professor Jane Nana Opoku-Agyeman. How would you describe her?
Thank you very much. Professor Nana Opoku-Agyeman is an affable woman. She is a very hard-working woman. I was her student from 1998 to 2005, both during my undergraduate program and my master's. And afterwards, when I became a member of staff, she was my mentor. And so we worked together. We still work together. And I must say that she is a very hardworking, disciplined woman. who like to get results. And she is also a team player who likes to share her vision with everybody in her team to make sure that we achieve results.
And you also, Mr. Archery, you worked with her as well. What will be your succinct description of her?
Well, I would say that we are talking about a woman who is quite forthright, always demands results, and positive. She's a positive thinker. No two ways about that. Fair and firm, and she will always want you to have that which, for her, you deserve. And she will always encourage you. She's the type who encourages one to work hard, even when you meet her occasionally at a parking lot. She will have time to converse with you, advise you out as to how to ensure you progress academically and professionally. And so we are talking about a serious woman here. And I would just say that such a hardworking personality is something that rarely come up in our society.
And when we're talking about politics, we just, before we even came to you, went through a number of the personalities, women who were running mates within the period. Dr. Yakubu, would you say that it was something out of the blue, choosing a woman running mate for a big party like the NDC? Dr. Yakubu.
Well, I don't think it was out of the blue. For me, last year, if you've been following some of the discussions on the call about running mates, in April last year, we made the call and we put Professor Nana Opoku-Agyeman ahead of a pack of other women. And we made this call based on the fact that from independence, we have 12 male running mates. The parties have never considered a female running mate. When we say the parties, we mean the two front runners, the MPP and the NDC. We've had other parties, yes, using female running mates, but those parties themselves have problematic party structures, are not politically savvy enough. The landscape for them has not been robust enough. And that has nothing to do with the women who were selected as female running mates. So for me, as a political analyst and a political watcher of elections, this has not been out of the blue. What I think the NDC is trying to do is to restore a social order. If you look at the participation of women in elections, women have always been the structure on which most of these parties have built their campaigns, have built their structures. Yet when it gets to this executive decision-making, women are conveniently left out of the powers of corridor within the internal party structures and also even in the national body politic. So I think that for me, this is a first. When we say a first, we are not discounting any other political parties' employment of women as female rights. What we want to say is that this time, the role of a woman as a ticket cannot be discounted based on the fact that the party itself is not robust enough. This is new politics. You cannot put the prof in a straitjacket. You are just hearing from people who have worked with her, and everybody already has very different things to say with her. She's well-rounded, and you cannot put her in a straitjacket as you would do normally when a woman is elected. The first thing people say, oh, it's just a woman. We are talking about a woman who is politically sophisticated enough to be able to understand that currently development and governance are seamless. You don't talk at one and leave the other behind. So the NDC is bringing new dynamics into this election, and we are very excited at this choice of the running mate.
Now, Professor Jonah, I know that we've all observed Ghana's political landscape in the Fourth Republic, and it's quite intriguing how unsuccessful the relatively running mates who are women have fared when it comes to the elections, knowing that on the back of the demographics of the population we have, there's a bulk, if not majority of it, going by the 2010 population and housing census, who seem to have a certain composition of being the female sex, so to speak. What may have been the undoing, so to speak, so that they've not performed quite creditably at the polls by way of their complementary roles to their flag bearers. Please unmute for me. Professor Jonah, please unmute. Yes. Well, so we also do know that now, Dr. Yakubu, let me come to you. The same question that I wanted to pose to Professor Jonah, can you give me a response to that?
Yeah, so what I was just saying is that the parties themselves are not structured broadly on a political landscape that can give them the mandate to deliver politics. We are talking about parties that sometimes did not even have parliamentary, candidates in some of the constituencies. We are talking about parties that are not well structured from the grassroots level. We are also talking about parties that just wanted to bring a new dynamic, balance it, yes, but sometimes their own presidential candidates themselves were already bedeviled with so many other challenges that these ones would even reflect, unfavorably, even if the running mate that they had chosen can help them to deliver the mandate. So these parties themselves were not well structured. So that usually has nothing to do with the fact that they chose a female candidate. But what it had to do was that it gave people the opportunity to discount, the fact that it's even a female candidate. So what we just want to state emphatically is that for the first time, we have one of the front runners of Ghana's Fourth Republic choosing a female candidate who cannot be discounted. Her competency speaks for her. Her political maturity speaks for her. She has worked in government. She is a new appeal. It's like new appeal politics. There are a lot of people that will sit up and listen and say, what does she have to say? That is new. And then within the party itself, she's also an insider because she's been able to work with the government when they used to be the ruling party. She has worked with them in opposition. So whether as a new appeal politician or whether as an insider for the NDC, she is going to make a difference. And there's a marked difference. Yes, she's a woman, but we are not looking at just that demographic. She also brings a big demographic. If you've had a teacher, well, I'm sure you have teachers that you remember from primary school all the way to university and to wherever you, and it is the same. Whether you want to learn a trade, whether you went business school, whether you sit, but everybody has mentors. And she has also had opportunity to work with a lot of people at the grassroots level. So she probably has also had the ticket because she brings two things that you would normally look for in a vice president: experience and electoral advantage. Her demography for electoral advantage moves beyond just the fact that she's from the central region. I think that's the only usual thing people have been able to point out about her. That it's another, central region. But we know it goes beyond that demography. She's a woman. She has worked at different levels. And in fact, apart from the fact that she's a testament to restoring a social order for the up to 60% of other women in Ghana, other women are also responsible for bringing everybody else into the country. Yes, whether you are a man or woman, it's a woman that votes. So it's not about the fact that she's a woman. So automatically, all women will vote for her. It is about the fact that this is a woman that we won't discount with the usual argument. So it's a woman. No, it's a woman who is competent. It's a woman who understands the landscape. And it's a woman people would want to identify with. So yes, I think they made a very good choice for their NDC candidates in these elections.
Professor Jonah, NDC is a big party, so whoever you put there should resonate. That is what is going to happen.
Question again, please.
The NDC is a big party. It is one of the two parties that have occupied the presidency in the Fourth Republic. So anybody they attach to their candidate definitely should resonate with everybody. Is that what we're likely to see?
No, I think Dr. Nasatu gave an excellent answer. A big and effective party provides the best opportunity to a female candidate to make a contribution. If the party is already weak and ineffective, the female candidate cannot make the kind of contribution she is capable of making. And so the point today, the answer she gave, excellent. The point is that in a big and effective party like the NPP, like the NDC, a female candidate can then add value to the ticket. And this is exactly what is going to happen in this case.
Jonathan, one of the things that was the refrain, especially from the opposition commentators on social media, and even in some top leaders in the MPP especially, was the fact that, well, she is supposed to be the versus, so to speak, the go-to person to face off with the current vice president, who also will be the running mate to the current president in 2020. How do you think she's going to fare in that contest, that boxing match?
Well, Roland, thank you. I think that that particular contest does not exist. It has not come up at all. If you ask me, Professor Jena Nopukajman has already carved a niche for herself. Now, if you pitch the two together, you'll just be wasting much time. You see, the point is that this is an opportunity. It's just like the Obamamania period that happened in the United States in the 2008 elections. Now, if you look at the landscape of our politics, most of the women that have been given opportunity have only ended at the ministerial levels. Now, the minority parties, as it were, you saw the figures that you showed, 0.59%. The maximum has just been around 2%. Yes, it is true that many are aware of what Dr. Bobian brings onto the table. But the idea of the NDC showcasing Professor Jena Nopukajman is to ensure that the dynamics change. So the way and one of the dynamics of the 2020 elections, the landscape will change entirely, because now the main opponent of the NDC will have to re-strategize. How did they do that within this short period? That is why some of us felt that when the flag bearer of the NDC was being bashed left, right, center, that there is a delay. I said, no, I don't see a delay. Rather, I am seeing some kind of anxiety on the part of their main opponent, because they don't seem to know which personality the flag bearer is going to bring. You see, don't let us also forget that the majority of our women, what position have they been given? At most, the highest level has been the first lady, second lady. That is where they have ended. And that even gives them an opportunity to be able to create outlets for others to survive, help here and there. And a fantastic figure is Nana Rawlings. And now we are equally aware of what Mrs. Rebecca is equally doing. Rebecca Nana Kufuor is equally doing. And so what the good professor brings onto the board is something that is going to give headache, a huge headache to the MPP in government. Because if you look at the dynamics, as I said earlier, you will have to do a lot of political and social calculations. And if you're not careful, by the time you say Jack, the elections would have ended without you pinpointing exactly how to pin her down. And so some of us felt that it is quite unfortunate, and that is just the beginning of it, that the director of communications of the MPP will come out with such an unpalatable, unfortunate statement. And that is going to hunt him, not only him, in his constituency is going to hunt him, because there will be women who will be voting in that particular constituency. So they just have to be careful. They don't have to just be coming out making any unguarded statement, because that will come back to haunt them, as I earlier on stated. And so the battle between the two has just begun. If you pit the two, I think that the woman is far ahead. And if you ask me, if I'm not exaggerating, among the presidential candidates, including the vice president, none can come close to what she, in her own capacity as a woman, has been able to achieve, if not the sake of politics. So this is not something that is a token that is given to a woman. But you see, somebody asked me yesterday, are you not surprised? Yes, I'm surprised that she's a woman, but I'm not surprised, because if you look at what she brings, what she stands for, she stands so tall amongst the lot. And so the battle has just begun. We'll see how it unfolds, because I seem to have a firm conviction that it will be a positive, result.
Professor Jonah, if we have to take who she is, knowing also the demographics that we have, but the dynamics of our politicking, how should she position herself to appeal?
I think what Professor Jane Nana Opoku-Agyeman can bring to this ticket is her appeal to women. I just, since yesterday when she was named, listened to some women, market women in the central region and other places, women's groups, who were so very excited about her nomination as the running mate of NDC presidential candidate J.D. Mahama. Now, I think this is her strength, and she should make the best out of it. Women all over the country are very excited. Market women who don't have too much education, all of them are so very excited about the possibility of a woman becoming a vice president. And I think she should, she has other advantages. First, everybody knows that she had snapped up this position more than a month ago. All these names that were being thrown in the media, just red herring. She had been informed more than a month ago that she was going to be the running mate. And so it's particularly based on the fact that she has a very close working relationship with His Excellency J.D. Mahama. The personal relationship between the chemistry between the two of them, very, very strong. And this means that they'll be able to work closely together in the event that they win. You remember, some vice presidents have always complained that they were sidelined. In this case, it cannot happen because the two of them are so very close. They have excellent working relations, and it's not going to happen the way it happened with other vice presidents. Then the second thing is, if you look at the woman, her very impressive biodata, you are overwhelmed by her humility. Just go through many achievements, and you cannot imagine how a woman who has achieved so much in her life can at the same time remain so very humble. That also appeals to a lot of people. Then the third thing is, this is a woman who has been a vice chancellor of a university. This is a woman who has chaired Wesley Girls High School board and so on and so forth. She knows a lot about education. And my understanding, if it is correct, is that the NDC is contemplating a free tertiary education policy. And there cannot be one person who knows more about these things. She will have to, for example, operate what free tertiary education means. Does it mean tuition fees? Does it mean accommodation free? Does it mean, she is about the right person to help, and she's going to add a lot to take it.
And it's why I go to Dr. Adai Muninkum. You, because she tutored you and you work closely with her and still do, it will mean that she needs to go through the nuances of the internal politics within the party. How does she manage that on campus as a vice chancellor, for example? Dr. Adai Muninkum. Okay. I'm asking the question.
Thank you very much.
Okay, great. You heard my question?
Yes, I heard your question. You wanted to find out how she managed the nuances of politics in the university.
On campus, yes.
On campus, yeah. Professor Nana Opoku-Agyeman is very diplomatic, I must say. And she knew, when she was in office, she knew how all these internal politics worked. But one thing that I must say is that her diplomatic nature helped her to navigate all these muddy waters. And so there was never a time where you had any complaint about her being, being seen to be favoring one side over the other. She managed to work very well and tried as much as possible to play down these glaring political inequalities and disadvantages. So more often than not, she had her eye on the ultimate goal of bringing people together to work for the good of the university.
Dr. Yakubu, doing politics in Ghana is very much dominated by males. And so there's some element of huge chauvinism. How is she supposed to navigate that at the top level?
In politics in Ghana, yes, it's dominated by males, but women are not excluded. Women are just excluded at the top. If you understand, if you go to the base, there are so many women there, and a lot of people sit in meetings and come out and take counsel from women and go and articulate. You and I know that from our homes through the traditional structures into the classroom, into the corridors of power. What works for Prof is the fact that she's already navigated, come through a national council and has been affirmed. You know, you and I know what it means to even be considered. You saw how people came into the media landscape trying to even use national media to be able to earn a ticket. And when she was selected, as Provina just told you, we knew and nobody said anything. It was able to be kept quiet up to now, just to make sure that it is announced properly and in the right way. And that is what it is. Things have to be done orderly. Now, coming to talk about chauvinism, men will be the first to tell you that things need to change. I don't think you as a man, you are very happy when every day all men are put together in one basket to show how misogynist and patriarchy has refused to, allow women to do things. There are a lot of men who are allies, and I mean positive allies. But if you want men to demonstrate support, you also need to put the right people in position. We have, just as we have men who don't do a good job, we also have women who don't do a good job. So if a woman with no credentials that a man would respect, for instance, is selected as running mate, then it gives, opportunity for them to quickly throw the person under the bus. But if you put a competent woman there, a woman who is politically savvy enough and has new appeal politics, then yes, you would find men who are allies coming on board. My excitement from all this is from yesterday, we haven't heard the usual rhetorics, that people would immediately call out and start saying very derogatory things. If her political opponents are already saying it, then that means that, as Bob Joe just said, they are scared and probably didn't have a good strategy to give a good rebuttal. They would need to go back and withdraw and come back out. I think the first thing anybody has done is to congratulate her for even clinching that, very, very important. So yes, men are chauvinists. Men have refused. Patriarchy has always suppressed, the female vote. But at the same time, there are a lot of spaces that are being created. And NDC is demonstrating that to give, validate the statement that gender is a good, agenda, so to speak, for going forward. Equality doesn't just mean saying, yes, we are going to put more women on board. We are going to ensure that there's 50-50, even though we haven't even reached the 30% yes. Equality means starting at the top. If the bottom is not giving way, you start at the top. It will go back and influence. We sit in a cultural landscape where women are not being given spaces. When you put the right women there, it motivates a whole generation of other women, and indeed men, to look at things favorably and the capacity of women to perform at the top. So I think she's going to be able to navigate, because she's already navigated that. How many other women were bandied about in the list for this role? None. I'm sure most people didn't even know she was one of the front runners. We had up to 12 men, no woman. So if out of that she's come, she's already navigated some top waters, and I think that she's going to equally navigate the inside politics. But having said that, what you should also remember is she is not your typical platform politician. When I say platform politician, you know them, those who shouting at the rooftop. That is not how she plays her politics. Her politics is of a different kind. And so it will appeal and it will complement the NDC's flag bearers politics that he will be bringing. And they are not diametrically opposed in terms of ideology either. So it's a good match, and I think she's going to be able to navigate those kind of moments diplomatically, as Betty has said. Yes.
Professor Jonah, the politics on the ground is tough. I mean, facing the MPP, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, Dr. Baobia, and all the jobs, the insinuations and the sarcasm, and then also the rivalry at the grassroots level is a difficult one. And the two are supposed to be the front arrows for the NDC. How's she supposed to do that based on your observations and experiences in the Fourth Republic?
Well, the woman has already been described as a diplomat, very diplomatic. And so she definitely will know how to navigate her way. Don't think that being a vice chancellor doesn't have its own politics. It does. It does. A lot of rivalry and position and so on and so forth. If she has been able to weather this on a much smaller scale, she has already also been a Minister of Education for how many years now? She knows the politics on the ground. And with her diplomatic skills, she must be able to wade through all these challenges. I do not foresee any insurmountable difficulty in managing grassroots politics within the party.
Oh, on a more serious note, if you look at the way the politicking is undertaken at the national level, at the grassroots level, it also means that there are insinuations and castigations that are always made. At that point in time, how is she particularly, and then the NDC is supposed to manage that when it comes on, Dr. Jonah?
Yeah, no, don't forget, the NDC as a party has more than enough people to respond to any attacks that will be coming from the opposite. It is not the responsibility of the running mate to be doing that. They have more than enough people to respond to any whatever criticism, attacks that will be, you must have heard of the expression, boot for boot. Boot for boot. So I have absolutely no fears about people insinuating, criticizing, attacking her one way or the other. There will be more than enough people to respond to all these things. And let's face it, if John Dramani Mahama had picked any other candidate, it would be the same. In Ghanaian and African politics, this is the game. So let us not say that because she's a woman, she cannot stand the rigors of Ghanaian politics and so on and so forth. She is going to do very, very well, from my estimation.
Jonathan, if there are things that need to change for her to appeal to internal people within the NDC, what should that be?
Well, I think that she already has that appeal. If you saw what happened yesterday, she had an overwhelming endorsement from the majority of the party members, the executives, and so forth. And so I think that going forward, they will have to conduct their own strategies. What I foresee happening is the fact that Dr. Yakubu said something. She's not that type of platform politician, but she's always been at the forefront of not the Google type, if I put it that way. And so that is the dangerous aspect of her candidature. So you will see that in the politics of today, between the NPP and the NDC, the hardcore support base can never win anybody outright elections in this country. So you always need the undecided and the floating voters. And you will see that majority of our women, sometimes some of them will just go to the poll only to decide, even along the way, then they will take a decision. But the idea of they having a woman to be a vice presidential candidate of a party that can win or lose, because the point is that the winning is either between NDC or NPP. So for them to go for a woman of that stature and caliber, and you have so many of our floating voters who decide who becomes the president of this country, I think that is the kind of thing that she will be calling for. And that strategy they will have to have on to ensure that these marks that are thrown at her may not really stick, because already it is not sticking. So what is left for the party is to project her good qualities. And she herself, she is a woman of stature, and she will bring all these things on board for the party going into the 2020 elections. And so I don't see, there are those who felt that, well, she has not been a hardcore member of the party. There are so many people in this country who are affiliates of either MPP or NDC, but they don't show it because they don't like the type of politics that are done in this country. The abuse, the tagging, the lack of money that people just throw at each other. That is something that they disassociate themselves from. And so you will never see them at the forefront of some of this politicking that takes place in this country. And so I think that whatever strategy that they might have put in place, it is based upon that. That is the more reason why they chose her as the vice president.
Dr. Yakubu, no matter what we think, on one side will be Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, and the other side is going to be John Dramani Mahama, and then we have Professor Opoku-Agyeman. That definitely is a tough race to face.
Yes, Roland, that is a tough race to face. But before we get to the race is the process to the race. And the process to the race depends more on every political party's strategy and political roadmap that they would employ as we get to December. Remember, when you get into the polling booth, Prof and Bawumia are not on the ballot. You understand? They are not on the ballot. What they are going to do is to be able to help their candidates maximize numbers at the polls. Now, what are the new appeals that both of them bring? What are the things that we expect them to do to help their candidates deliver on December 7th? That is what we are looking at. So the process to the ballot is actually what is critical now as we go forward. If you look at the demeanor, we just talked about the issue of platform politicians. The NDC typically has never been one to bring us vice presidents that are platform politicians. You can go from Akkar to Mills to even Mahama when he was elected. People were surprised because he wasn't, the usual suspects, so to speak. And then people come into the office and they evolve into different roles. The original idea why somebody becomes vice president even changes when they become vice president, or changes on the path to becoming the substantive vice president. That is if they are elected. So what Prof. Nana Akufo-Addo is going to do is going to help a candidate to win. So it is the process to the election that we are actually examining now, and not the election itself. And NDC itself did not choose the venerable Prof based on anybody's expectation, definitely not based on their opponent's expectation. So their opponents also should not be expecting NDC to run a campaign based on what they think about. Yesterday we had calls of people saying, how is she going to match Dr. Bawumia? How is she going to be an economics management team? How is she? The NDC will tell you first off that they did not choose their candidate to come and be matching against Dr. Bawumia. They selected their candidate to help them to maximize their fortunes at the national ballot. So we should be expecting that NDC has its own plan and roadmap for getting to the election, same as the NPP has its plan and roadmap. Now, if people are going to go back to the politics of insult, let me tell you, the selection of Prof is changing this election. I'm telling you, if anybody wants to go out and be insulting people, you go and be insulting people. And as Prof said, there will be those ones. That will be a different fight. But I'm telling you, there's a new dynamic coming into these elections. And it's going to be exciting for all of us to see some new things, instead of the usual waking up every day with people throwing stones at each other and all that. We want to see cogent issues. We are living in very tenuous times. People are not excited at all. So we want to see new things. We want the ruling government and the opposition party to tell Ghanaians things that show that there's going to be a new way forward from the usual way of doing things, so that the confidence, will be reposed in them at the polls. That is what we are looking at. We want to see a context of ideas. We want to see a context that doesn't show that people are insulting each other. And definitely a context that is not going to call out somebody for their agenda. To already say that because somebody is a woman, maybe the person will or somebody is nobody would have said anything. We wouldn't have been having this women conversation if it was a man. Nobody will be asking that, do you think as a man, the person will be able to appeal to the party? Because it's a given. The good news is that for her, it's good for us to examine it and to be sure that, yes, the fact that she has been selected means that her party has reposed confidence. There's a new dawn of politics here. We have to embrace it. We congratulate her and we wish her the best in their journey to the polls on December 7th.
You're obviously a strong feminist. I can see that. But you don't hold on to that one. Don't respond, Dr. Yakubu. Dr. Jonah, we only have some few months to the elections. It looks like John Mahama and the professor don't have much time. If you compare the number of years that the opponent, the incumbent, Nana Dankwe Akufo-Addo and Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia have had to pair with each other and crisscross the country. That could have an effect.
Yeah, that is true, because she wasn't named much earlier. They don't have too much time. But don't forget, we always tend to look at Professor Nana Opoku-Agyeman, always look at John Dramani Mahama as the candidates. They have a whole party structure behind them. And the NDC is a huge mass party with structures all over the country. It doesn't matter the time limitation. They will be always able to rise up to the occasion and do what they should do to support these candidates. So yes, the time is short, but because they have a huge party structure behind them, a huge mass organization behind them, I'm sure that this time limitation is not going to prove to be a big disadvantage.
Dr. Adaimu, you're still on campus, UCC, Central Region, and I know what our reporter said about how this was greeted with a lot of accolades and some enthusiasm. How do you think that will resonate throughout the region and ultimately in areas along the coastal, central, Ahanta, Nzimai areas when it comes to related regionalism?
Well, I think first off, on campus, we are excited and happy. First, because she's one of us, and secondly, because she's a woman, and we are glad that now the country is setting up and things are changing, because we need change. And women have come a long way, and we always talk about giving women the room to operate, the space to operate. But it's as if we've created certain spaces for women, and other spaces are not for women. But now there's an indication that, hey, more doors are being opened and women are not just being consigned to certain spaces. Now, for the region as a whole, I think everybody's also excited because now, as they'll say, she's one of us. You know, she's one of us. And not just being one of us, she's also a woman. And the thing about Professor Nana Opoku-Agyeman is that she is very friendly and affable. And she gets on well with everybody, regardless of the person's position in life. So she has friends among the very elite, and she has friends among those who are not even in academia. You go to the marketplace, you go to the seaside, she has friends all over. And with the project that she was working on with School for International Training and Development, she had the opportunity of working with all these people. And so she has a huge following in there. So for the region and even beyond, it's a moment of jubilation and happiness that, yes, this woman deserves what she's gotten, and we have to be happy for her.
All right, let's go to Elmina. So that's a base, and get some bites from the locals there, especially the women, from our correspondent, as reported.
Papa John Dramani Mahama. Where ye are, mammy? Na dama hen day. Ombra. Na since 1992. Yinga Vice President Bia Oye Bisia. Na ye weni sum de afi. Ya mammy Bama ya twa manimu win. Mawa babo shanya na do shopa. Adibia yen ya wa ya akuma dubia ya mammy. Wa kaya papa mo wetum wa ya mahen. I am many jumbo don't put the opinion crab take area. Our offi commander. Yen may use to friend time be our Beijing and do. On the yabo who allo guna assume. Our Beijing and do. No way tell yes. Musuda sisi yaho na body. Saying pay and more but and Yanum Bessiafu na one boa. No to Monco. Na so to Mokoya Cocobatania. Abaka and do. A catch a papa. John Dramani Mahama Day. Yada na si bebre. When you saw why yache mesiafo. Na di ya maame. Ode amahen. Na yada mpaabo bedi na echi mo wenwi na abaka no ho. Na wa buma ni amahen.
Oye he na nyije na ahoho de ya atde. He ne papa JM weyi oba de ne vice oye ruade ne pia. Obeye no boafo. Na he na nyije hina anyi de. oye besia ne besia de otimesi afo yase otabatan yase mbahwase nti yetse ne dam no kɔrenyi ye nyaaje ye de mpanyimfo a wɔka huni tibu anu mo wo huni de afidi ewade ne din wo beyi besia mo waye boafo amman panyin na oye ewade ne pia mo wa abohwe mani na we ono wati mesiafo won nyɛ yasin we tuma aboa mesiafo nti yɛda ewade ase nya no so yɛde enyigye yɛde tai nature yɛde mpaebɔ yɛde tai nature de ewade bɛyɛ na adom ma ampara waba na wetum wakai mesiafo na nkankampo de ofi hien keyi ha
Well, some constituencies, a small one, but also speaks volumes about what the reactions. And they said that they're happy that John Dramani Mahama decided to choose a woman who also will uplift the image of women, but also be the helping hand that the country needs and also the presidency needs to improve the state of our country. I mean, just by way of summary of what they said. But Dr. Jonah, it means that there's a constituency out there that she is definitely going to appeal to, and it's straightforward, or is it not?
No, her constituency is much bigger than this one.
No, I'm not talking about the KE. I'm talking about the larger interest of the women population.
Yes, that's the point I'm making. That she has a much bigger constituency than what you have seen. The women in the country generally are very, very excited about his election, and so I would appeal to her to capitalize on that advantage. To capitalize on that advantage. That could pretty well be her most important contribution to this ticket.
Jonathan, your last word as we wrap up this conversation.
Well, I will end by saying that nobody saw it coming, and that if the NDC nominated her a month ago, as Prof. rightly said, and I think they managed the situation very well. And that surprise element is that which is their trump card. And I am quite aware that she's likely going to appeal to the undecided and the floating voters, and probably allow those who are in the hardcore politics to do their own politics. And then she will be able to support the main candidate along that path to ensure that they are successful in the 2020 elections.
Dr. Adai Muninkum, what about you? Your last word. What would you say should be some of the key issues that she now needs to work on as we head to 2020?
I think that basically she, as we've all said, she has what it takes, but she also represents something new. She represents something new in Ghanaian politics. Because of that, the expectations are high. So she needs to live up to that expectation, especially in bringing in a change in the way politics is done in this country. This dirty gutter politics is something that we are all tired of. And so we need to see some elegance, some dignity in Ghanaian politics. And that is something she brings on board. And that is something she needs to hold on to and uphold. That will be a lasting legacy to Ghanaian politics.
Dr. Yakubu, what about it for you?
Yeah, we are happy. All women, all feminists, all allies of women, all people working in the interest of equality. We are very happy that the NDC has set a path to try to establish some social order, up to, the number of women in this country. So we are very happy that they have laid the gauntlet from the top. We are hoping that when or if she indeed makes it into the final office, we are looking forward to the agenda of ensuring that boardrooms, council level, parliament, everybody is motivated enough to put more competent women forward. And as I told you earlier, we wish her the very best, and we are indeed looking forward to a new campaign leading up to December 7th.
And what will be your issues you would say she should look out for, Dr. Jonah?
Hello?
What would be the issues you would want her to look out for, Dr. Jonah, knowing that we just have some few months to the election?
Yeah. Well, I've already said she should capitalize on the excitement among Ghanaian women, but I understand that education is also going to be a very big issue for the NDC in the upcoming elections, especially tertiary education, and she is best placed within the party to advise the party, to guide them along those lines. She shouldn't spread herself all over the place. She should capitalize on her strength and make a very solid contribution to the campaign and to the ticket.
Well, thank you very much. Dr. Kwesi Jonah, Senior Research Fellow, the Institute for Democratic Governance, IDEC, and also on the side, Dr. Nansata Yakubu, also helping us do the discussions as well, and Dr. Adai Muninkum, who is a lecturer at the University of Cape Coast, has worked consistently or several years with the running mates as per the choice by John Dramani Mahama, the aspiring flag bearer of the NDC. And moving on, we also do have Jonathan Autry helping us analyze all the related issues as far as the nomination of Professor Jane Nana Opoku-Agyeman is concerned. Well, thank you for staying tuned. We'll have all these uploads also on our social media pages and handles. We have Joy News on TV. We do have a Twitter handle as well, at Joy News on TV, and you can watch this as we upload, and all our live streams on Joy News TV on YouTube. In the meantime, we will take a break. When we come back, we'll take you to the grounds where we have our correspondent monitoring all the issues when it comes to the ongoing voter registration exercise, particularly looking at how we've had all the information coming in for the Electoral Commission as to how social distancing protocols will be maintained. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Arise for Ghana, of the land, forward and seek your future. Development our goal, from vision to victory, the NDC shall lead. Democratic Ghana, our strength in unity, from vision to victory, the NDC shall lead. Our strength in unity. Victory! Victory is our land. Victory! It's our land. JJ is a winner. Arise for Ghana, of the truck of the land. Secure future, development, our goal, from vision to victory, the NDC shall lead. Stable democrat, Ghana, our strength in unity, from vision to victory, the NDC shall lead. Our strength in unity, from vision to vision, the NDC shall lead.
Well, again, we have to take you to the ground. But before we do that, let me just run this by you. Golden Finger Industries Limited is a fast-growing manufacturing company that is involved in processing fruit into quality organic cosmetic product, cleaning and disinfectant produced right here in Ghana under certified FDA conditions. And they do have great product in stock, like the GF hand sanitizer, the GF rubbing alcohol, the GF Dettol antiseptic for GF multipurpose liquid soap also available. Others are GF hand washing soap, GF antiseptic cleaner, GF multipurpose glass cleaner, and they are located at the Giselle Estate, SCC DVLA on the Wager Road. You can contact them on the following phone lines, and these numbers are 054-6274-070 and also 054-6273-990. They have a great reliable landline, and that is 030-295-7950. Make sure that you are always using the product. As you do that, we will get onto the ground. You know, a lot of things have been happening when it comes to the voter registration exercise. And we did have the Electoral Commission coming in with the latest that indicates that they want to ensure that social distancing protocols are maintained and observed. And so they decided to put a whole team together. And there's a whole team that is going to monitor that across all the registration centers. In order for us to do that, we have to get onto the ground. But we also are going to have some great discussion. This morning, monitoring the process is his organization, Alliance for Christian Advocacy Africa, and the executive director is also on stream. He will be with us, Dr. Kwabena Opuni-Frimpong, and the Reverend Opuni-Frimpong is also going to help us do many discussions as well. Now, well, let's get onto the ground. And Maxwell Akbagba is already coming from one of the registration centers close to us. Good morning to you, Maxwell. Where exactly are you? What have you monitored so far to this point?
Well, Roland, I'm here at the Methodist Church here at Obasu-Okan. It's one of the registration centers here. And you know, Obasu-Okan usually, it's the beehive of activity. You'd find a lot of people doing a lot of, business here. And that is exactly what we've seen here. Many people have trooped here to register. Now, before we pulled out our cameras, trust me, we didn't see anything close to social distancing. About 60% of the people we saw here were wearing their mask. Few of them were not wearing their mask. But social distancing here really is nothing to write home about. But very soon we'll take you inside and we'll be finding out from the registration officer what has happened with the EC's queue management system that it says it is rolling out. We do not know if these persons standing here have cheats and are supposed to be here, but we'll be finding out that shortly. I have the assemblyman here with us who is equally concerned about the situation. Sir, you're welcome to join us.
Yeah, thank you very much.
What's your name?
I'm Tubai Amuda, the assemblyman of Obasu-Okan electoral area.
Okay. You can see the people are crowded outside, not just outside. If you go inside too, you see quite a number of people. Are you not concerned as the assemblyman, social distancing and the wearing of face masks?
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm very, very concerned. That's why I'm outside here to organize them well. So that's what I'm doing, and you just came. So that's what I'm doing. The social distance has to work. So that's what I'm outside. I'm checking those things. So,
one of the registration officers here poured out, his heart to me and said that many times they've told the people here to ensure social distancing, to wear their mask, but it looks like they're not really listening to him.
Yes, so I've set up with my unit committee members, talking to them. But it's true, the masks, and I've organized some of the masks. So if some don't have the masks, I've been giving them. So I hope now it's good. If I see someone not wearing the masks, me myself, I've organized some to give it to them. So,
clearly they have the mask, because I've seen right now all of them wearing their mask. But before we put out our cameras, that wasn't the case. What do you think can change this attitude? I think it's more of an attitudinal problem than than not having the mask at all.
Still, but the education has to be more to them. It seems like it's a lack of the education. We have to educate them well. I hope if we educate them well, I hope everything will be very, very nice.
Okay.
So that's what we will be doing right now.
Okay.
So thank you very much.
Okay. So thank you very much for talking to us. So this is just outside the precincts of the registration center. Let's go inside. Let's see what is happening inside. But all of these people are standing outside waiting patiently to go inside. We'll be finding out from the registration officer here what has happened to the queue management system and how they are using that effectively here. So this is inside. You can still see all of these people standing here. Okay, I don't know why the police officer here is trying to get these persons out. I would love to know why. So, any idea why they have been sent out? Any idea why they have been sent out?
The policeman.
Okay, I should find out. Let me find out from the policeman. Okay, so he's ensuring social distancing, trying to get them to space out. That wasn't the case before we pulled out our cameras. Okay, so that's what a police officer is doing. If you're not practicing social distancing, you'll be sacked from this place. But that, once again, that was not the case before we pulled our cameras. Let's go closer and speak to some of the persons here on the ground. Okay, so this man is a party agent. Sir, you're welcome to join us.
I'm not a party agent.
Okay, no, you are the general secretary for what?
Constituency secretary of the NDC Ablekuma Central.
Okay, general secretary for?
Ablekuma Central Constituency, NDC.
Okay, and I believe you are here monitoring the process?
Yes.
Okay, what do you make of the process so far?
First of all, I think the issue of social distancing is another issue. As for socialization, fine, but the distancing is not there. And moreover, we were made to understand that whenever a registrant places his or her hand on the machine, after registration, they will disinfect the machine before another person. And we are not witnessing that happening. Washing of hands, fine, but where's the tissue? There's nothing. So what they promise us that they will do to prevent the people from contacting the COVID-19 is not happening here. Look at the distance, look at the line. Everybody is packed. There's no social distancing here. We are not observing it, and whatever they told us, we are not seeing it. So we are pleading that the Electoral Commission, they should walk their talk. They shouldn't just talk and then do otherwise. Look at the figure now. Within 1 month, the COVID-19 has jumped to 21,000. Within 1 month, within 3 months, we recorded 10,000. And now within 1 month, we recorded 11,000 because of the promise that the MPP went and then the registration. So why are we subjecting our own people to this kind of thing? So we are pleading that if they can do something to ease the tension or to maybe to space the people, that will help us. Okay. Even outside in the queue, there's no social distance. Inside, there's no social distance. So what are we? What are we doing? We are registering. We are registering our people to vote for us. We are not coming here to register the people so that they will go home and die. And who will vote for the politicians? That's the question. So now we are pleading with the people, with the EC. They are the authorities. They have the mandate. They have to do what they can do to save the people, those who are coming to register, and vote for those who are sending them to come and register for them.
Okay. Thank you very much. But we cannot independently verify the claim that the NPP primaries resulted in a spike in our cases. Maybe we'll leave that to the experts. But thank you so much for talking to us.
You're welcome.
Okay, great. You are the NPP party agent here?
Yes, please. Yeah.
What's your name?
My name is Nane Kwama Boatin.
Okay. Are you satisfied with the process so far?
So far, I'm satisfied. The only observation that I had is the fact that the nurses who are supposed to be here and be taking the thermometer check, will be doing the thermometer check, you don't see them around. When they come to, they will just be, frolicking around. You don't see them doing what they're supposed to do. Right from the start of this registration, especially when we started from the Presbytery right to this place, right now as I speak to you, none of them are around. They are supposed to be here and be taking the thermometer and be checking those thermometer, but yet they are not doing it. You don't see them around. They're supposed to even stand here. When they come, they will only come and stand in front of this building. You cannot tell whether this person is coming from this direction or that direction. Right now, you don't see them. That is my problem. And again, just to place this matter on record, EC do not have that power to, as it were, do this kind of social distancing outside their remit, especially where the registration is taking place. For where the registration is taking place, there is a social, in fact, we are observing social distance, but apart from outside, for the outside EC official, they do not have any. It is the security officers who are supposed to do that job, and not the EC officials. So,
but you agree with me that the challenge here is that someone can come in here, practice the necessary health protocol, but outside they could possibly pick an infection. And what it will mean is that what will happen here wouldn't matter because they already picked an infection outside. So it is important for us to ensure that all the health protocol are adhered here and then even outside the presence of the registration center. You agree with me?
Indeed, it is so, and it is rightly so. As I indicated to you earlier, that the social distancing protocol is being observed here, especially when you enter inside, but not outside. The registration is not taking place outside. It is inside. So those outside, it is the security officers who are supposed to ensure that there is appropriate social distancing. That is it. And what my brother just said, the NDC guy just said concerning the spike in the COVID-19. In fact, if you want to have the virus, you will have it, because people have been going to church, people have been going to mosque, people have been going to market and so other places. So it is not the EC, it is not the registration that is causing the spike of the virus.
Okay, thank you very much. So you just had an MPP party agent here. So now the registration officer just got.
Well, you can see that there's great defense being mounted by party agents, but once people mill around, it also means that that is a time where that the virus tends also to replicate. Well, one body that is monitoring this whole registration exercise is the Alliance for Christian Advocacy Africa, and the executive director is Reverend Dr. Kwabena Opunifrimpong, and we all do know the role he plays in a fraternity here, but also generally in national discourse. And thank you for joining me. If you can tilt your screen a bit towards you, so that very good, not too much, okay, so that we get the framing better. But we will go to Nana Asensu-Mensah, who is in Kumasi monitoring one of the registration areas as well. But it is all for us to get a certain perspective. You know that the Electoral Commission, we will try and bring that statement onto the screen for you. Did say that they have put together a body that's supposed to make sure that they monitor what the registration exercises, how it's being undertaken, and towards what sort of gravitation they want to go to achieve a certain consensus or objective. It is all because in the first week or the first phase of the exercise, there were concerns based on reports and also monitored independently by various organizations and individuals that social distancing had not been one of the key things that were being observed at the various registration centers. And we will also get the view of the Alliance for Christian Advocacy Africa that is also complementing the efforts of the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers, CODEO, etc., in trying to monitor the situation. Well, Dr. Kwabena Opunifrimpong is now back on script. And what have been your observations so far as you started monitoring the registration exercise, Dr. Opunifrimpong?
Yeah, Roland, let me say good morning to you, your team, and your cherished viewers. And as you said, the EEC has granted us accreditation to monitor the registration process. We are working in 1,000 polling stations only with pastors. Some of our people wanted to come from outside to join us, but because the borders are closed, we are still waiting to see what will be possible. And I would say that one of the major concerns that we have observed is this public health challenge. And it's mainly, especially in Accra and Kumasi. And even in Accra, in fact, if you go to West Legon, there's a polling station at the police station. And I don't think it's because that polling station is at the police station. They have arranged chairs, so nobody is allowed to stand. Anybody going to that West Legon polling station, you go there to sit. And you don't see this challenge there. In fact, there is another polling station at Volta region, Akuteme. They have arranged chairs, they have marked the floor, so people are not standing. Now, where we are having this challenge is where they have not arranged chairs for the registrants. You see that Pashiman, you see that Sotuom, Accra, Kwabenya, Pokwase, and you realize that people don't have places to sit. And so they are forced to stand, and in the process, you get the crowd. If they can quickly, and now I don't think this is the easy. This is where the assemblies and the district chief executive must come. If they can arrange chairs, and then you know where you are sitting. In this a case where people go and they don't have place to sit and they are asked to queue, then they do what we are witnessing. So I have seen places where there's decency, places well arranged, but people have chairs. And this is where it seems to me we will need a COVID-19 task force. They've been given vehicles. This is the time I expect that the COVID-19 task force will be running campaigns, and even when they go and somebody is not wearing masks, either you advise the person to go pick one or you give the person one. Now you don't hear the COVID-19 task force. I have been going around, we have people, pastors all over, and they are sending pictures and videos, and you don't see the role of the COVID-19 task force. And it seems to me we need them. In fact, NCCE and Information Service, the advance must be operating. You don't see that part.
Dr. Puni, if we know that all these teams are supposed to play a role, then what will be the role of the Electoral Commission in monitoring? Because this is a tax that has been mandated by the Electoral Commission, or that the Electoral Commission has been mandated to undertake.
No, you see, there are different facets to this operation. The EC has a role, no doubt about that. They have medical people with the thermometer gun to take temperatures and all that. Then they have their officials on table, writing, taking pictures. But there is the public health side. If you see the crowd of 100, 200 people, and you expect EC to do that, then we have a long way to go. It seems to me that other bodies like the security agencies, and in my opinion, the COVID-19 task force that have been resourced to a certain extent, because when you go to the public health, the challenge there is COVID-19. Now that is what we are all fighting. And whoever has a responsibility to respond to COVID-19, even though this is EC work, must also get involved. Because as one of the assemblyman said, when people are outside, it's difficult for the EC staff to control them. The people are in the hands of the security agencies. But Roland, I'll say again and again, if the district assemblies can arrange chairs, if you give somebody a chair to sit on, and you have arranged the chairs very well. In fact, the problem of where people are not respecting social distancing and not wearing masks, you see that more in Kumasi and Accra, or something region, in fact, Kumasi and Accra. You go to other regions and there are order. And they have been able to do that, it seems to me, because they have arranged chairs for the registrants. People have place to sit. And so there's no need for you to go and queue and therefore not respecting social distancing.
Yeah.
All the places we are observing this kind of crowd and people are not listening, you don't find chairs. You find chairs only when they are close to the EC staff to write their names and take pictures. Let us give chairs to the people and let other agencies get involved. Let NCCE get involved and let the security and coronavirus task force get involved. Roland.
All right. Thank you very much. Cheers. I don't know whether it's possible in rural communities, but we'll see how it goes. But this is great contribution from you. going to monitor the situation in the various registration centers. And well, Dr. Kwabena Opunifrimpong is Executive Director, the Alliance for Christian Advocacy Africa. They have been given also a mandate to do the monitoring at the various registration centers for voters. But look, this is where we have to get onto the streams and speak to Nana Senso Mensah in Kumasi, one of the registration centers that he's storing. Good morning to you, Nana Senso. Where exactly are you? And there had been a concern expressed by Reverend Dr. Kwabena Opunifrimpong that, look, we needed applicants to be seated somewhere around some of those registration centers. What are you monitoring so far?
Yeah, Roland, I'm here at the St. Gregory Seminary School. Is one of the registration centers here within the Sawase constituency. But over here, the social distancing is quite a bit of a challenge here for the registrants. In this school, there is a wall around the school, so if it's not your turn to register, you would have to wait at the forecourt of the school. That is, people will be hovering around at the entrance of the school. Let me just give you a clear view of what is actually going on here. So you see, people are just leaning against the wall, and then they will just be waiting their turn to enter and then register. But you can see most of them not wearing the nose mask, and then some of them are also wearing the nose mask. But the situation is that you can see them in a shoulder-to-shoulder position with each other, and clearly, not adhering to the social distancing. Then I would want to, engage some of the registrants here and find out what time they got here. Madam, what is your name?
My name is Humu.
Okay, so what time did you get here?
4 a.m.
You got here around 4 a.m. Wow. So tell me, why are you eager to have this card that you woke up around 4 a.m.?
You see, in Ghana here, if you are not having voter's ID card, I don't think you can do much things that you want to do. There are some things, offices, if you go there, they demand for your voter's ID card. So if you don't have it, I don't think you can get what you want. So that's the reason why I'm here. And I'm also a student. So for students, we mostly use voter's ID card.
Well, do you really need it to vote, or you just need it for your other documentation?
Oh, for voting, I'm a Ghanaian, so I have to vote. And aside the voting, I can use it for many things.
Okay, so Roland, this is one of the registrants. She was expressing what time she got here. I have another person who's also here. Please, what's your name?
Please, my name is Faiza Osman.
Okay, what time did you get here? First of all, what is your number? I understand you have numbers. What is your number?
My number is 36.
36. Your number 36. So what time did you get here?
I get here for 4 a.m.
4 a.m.
Yeah.
Okay. So Roland, you can see at the back of the fence is where the people are hovering around to wait for their turn. But
well, that's Nana Senso Mensah in the Asawase constituency, monitoring the registration exercise in one of those centers. Well, we'll bring you more subsequently, especially on Joy News today. But next, we have also to bring you the highlights of what is happening in the world of showbiz with Kadi. But we also have to tell you, we're going to bring to you our live event, the multimedia group collaborating with the National Commission for Civic Education. And it is the 5th virtual national dialogue. And it's basically themed on good environmental governance and the coronavirus pandemic. Of course, moderating is Samson Lade Anyanini, legal practitioner, host of Newsfile right here on Joy News and Joy FM. Franklin Kujo is also on the bill. Dr. Emmanuel Odame, Director of Policy, Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation, the Ministry of Health. And then Engineer Senam Tenge, I do know him. He works with the Just Point Group, Zoom Lion to be more specific. And that's at 10 o'clock. Make sure you stay tuned. But Kandi will be here with the latest. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with the latest highlights.
Good morning. My name is Kadi, and you're welcome to another segment of Showbiz right here on the AM show.
Now, I've been speaking to comedian Ajize, and he has lamented the lack of support from celebrities when it comes to helping to promote each other's craft. Ajize's reviews some celebrities have helped him more and others who have refused to help promote his work.
When the guy did it, the celebrities in Nigeria started jumping on it. So, of course, they have followings in Africa, even Ghana, where they follow people. So they started jumping and the things started going global. And when I came into this comedy space, I realized that there would surely be competition in my field. There's no love in my field, like so much unhealthy competition. So I decided to make friends with musicians. I've worked with almost every artist in Ghana, almost every free role, like, you know, anything. In a quest to also push myself, I started doing skits. I'm the first one to do skits in Ghana. Almost everybody knows this. I'm the first one where you cut. You talk there a bit, somebody will come and add. You talk there a bit. I did it to promote Ghanaian musicians, their songs. I did it for Stoneboy, did it for Shatawale, did it for Samini, I've done it for almost everybody that is in the industry knows my brand.
How many of these celebrities have supported you?
I can talk of Ochame Kwame. Ochame Kwame actually took a phone and the manager ABK put the phone on him. Ochame Kwame sat in his car. I said, like, in the wisdom of Ajize, a city full of atrocity. And then he ran like, this is support. Captain Planet, very, very supportive. Sometimes he sends me, I've never met Planet before, but Planet sends me money when things are hard. Mr. J, whatever buys for me to eat, things are tough. One Love Kobolo, Sister Debbie, you know, between Sister Debbie starts supporting me. Guru is not in Ghana, he's supported from America. These are people that I've worked with and they love me. And the numbers are not enough. I help musicians. I go to their shows, support them free. Lopepa is my boy. Lopepa premiered an album just last 2 months or something. I was there at BBNZ. I went there supporting me and Biffy. Man, this is come and into BBC Koswa. Lopepa where you and I do Lopepa's song cover, and he doesn't want to even post it. Article 1. Article 1 is my boy. Article 1 solo. I need Article 1 for a future. Article 1 they didn't mind me.
Through your platform, a lot of people have been able to get out there.
Yes, please.
Chatabando, Familia, all these people have been able to get out there through you.
Yes.
But why is it that you, the person who makes people shine, it's like these people that you helped are going further than you are? What do you think the problem is?
What's the problem really here is that I know, say, Adena Meyano, and yet Ghana for a day, but or them a force on that etching. And I've pushed hard with all my time, my resources. Family doesn't support me because I said I would do comedy. So those people who are feeling my pains are my fans. It's hard to have somebody with me. Like Obi, I was selfless. I put everybody on. I help everybody. Sometimes my management is complaining, why are you doing that? And I do social issues too.